So I don't think this was a good idea to start both of these movies at 2 a.m., it now being almost 6 a.m. I have never been more confused in my life watching two different movies. So it basically revolves around parallel universes, okay? And at any point, yourself can swap with another version of yourself at any point. Literally at any point, you can just be walking, and another you will be in your body, seeing through your eyes. Now, the story revolves around three characters, Koyomi, Shiori, and Kazune. And it's kind of like a love triangle situation throughout parallel universes. Now, the plot point for both movies basically is the fact that Shiori dies in a car crash while they are parallel shifting to another parallel world, and Koyomi spends his entire life in the first movie, because granted, I watched it pink to blue, by the way, he spends his entire life on this world dedicated to trying to save her life and make her have a long-lived life on another parallel Earth. And again, like I said, I am just so mind-melted that I am doing my best to explain to you guys how I'm understanding it. Now, to put the story on pause for a second, I wanted to go over some of the theories I had while watching both of these movies. So, when I was watching the first movie, Pink, or Red, or whatever color you refer to it as, this was one of my first theories, that both of them were going to die in each movie. Shiori dying in the Pink movie, and Koyomi dying in the Blue movie. And I thought the stories were going to be based on them growing up without each other, and them talking to each other on the crosswalk, eventually leading up into both of them ending up in the same parallel world again, where they both save each other. That wasn't exactly the case. They still ended up in the same one at one point, but it wasn't how I thought. Okay, so jumping back into the story, we have Koyomi, again, dedicating his life to trying to save her, doing all this research, and you do see that he gets into a depressive state. He's visiting her every single day at that crosswalk, where she's essentially a ghost on a crosswalk. It's become like a superstition, or kind of like a urban legend around the town as well. Fast forward a little bit, he's a little bit older now. It's been a couple years as he's doing research at the institute, and he ends up getting a research assistant, which happens to be Kazune. Now, we go on to find out that she's just been a background character in his life over at school, where he was just in and out of school, studying at the institute, going to school, and getting crazy good grades to the point where it made her super jealous, because he never noticed her and basically forgot about her. So they have a moment in a karaoke bar where she's kind of explaining who she is, and then they end up going to another area where he explains the entire situation to her, saying that this is what he's trying to do. She realizes he's been allocating other funds to fund his private research on trying to save Shiori, and it just turns into this whole thing where now they are together researching, and then it leads to about a 10-year time skip of them doing a bunch of research, to the point where they're spending a night together in the institute. She's sharing like a beverage with him, and then the idea finally comes to him on how they can do time travel to save Shiori. His idea is to send her to a world where they've never met before, so the accident can never occur. And he wants her to be able to grow old and be happy, essentially. Now, this is where I got a little confused, because he had to actually take his own life. In the first movie I watched, the Pink movie, in order to be able to do this and push her soul, again, quote unquote, to this other world. Now, when the Pink version of the movie ends, it leaves you absolutely confused, mind blown, at least me. You don't really have an idea what's going on at all until you watch the Blue movie, and it does fill in a good majority of the gaps. Now, basically, the Blue movie is just essentially a reflection of that same movie as well. I don't personally think it changes the ending like everybody states, honestly, because, yes, there technically is a double ending, but it also leads all to the same thing, essentially. So is it really different? Now, in the Blue movie, we see where his different choices basically change the whole outcome of his life. In the Blue movie, we see that he ended up with his mother instead of his father, like he did in the Pink movie, and it drastically changed the whole situation. And in the Blue movie, he ends up with Kazune and not Shiori. So basically, we see him grow up without Shiori, and he has kids, he has a wife now, he's married, has a house and everything. So it's like a completely different outcome that still leads to the same thing in the Pink movie. And it's just so mind-blowing how everything's connected, but it's so confusing along the way. Now, again, as stated, the end of the Pink movie leads into the Blue movie, but the Blue movie leads into the Pink movie. And what I mean by that is it shows him as an old man meeting Shiori for one last time at the crosswalk, saying that they have a promise to meet in like 66 years or whatever, okay? So in the Blue movie, we do see that that promise is upheld. And he goes to the crosswalk not knowing why he's going there at all. And this is where my mind was getting blown until they explained it more later on in the movie. So they go to the meeting spot and Shiori and Koyomi meet together and they talk a little bit, and then it kind of pans over back to the rest of his life, essentially. And then we find out a little later that Kazune took over the Kazune in this Blue movie's universe or world or whatever, and she wrote a letter to her explaining the entire thing. And this is where things get a lot more clear, but I was still kind of confused. So this is a rough explanation of what I understood, is that he transferred over his and Shiori's imaginality, and parts of them live in these new versions of them in this parallel world. So they're able to live on, and that's how Shiori is able to have a life and grow old. And you do see the moment that they actually meet each other, but they have no idea who each other are, and it kind of breaks your heart in that moment a little bit, because it's like you want them so badly to recognize each other after so long apart, and after he did all of this. He literally did so much. He spent decades researching all of this to get to this point, and then they don't recognize each other. It's like just little quotes that they say to each other that they kind of like subconsciously know, but they don't at the same time. And it's just like, it's like so frustrating, the ending. At the same time, it's very cute, it's heartfelt. So that's kind of like the explanation, that he pushed both of their subconsciousness, I guess, into other versions of them so they could live on and meet again, is what I understood. If I have that wrong, please, someone give me a very detailed explanation. I got to the point where after I finished, I was like, I wish I didn't watch these. As good as they were, I honestly wish I didn't watch these, because I'm going to be thinking about this for so long. And obviously that was the goal by the creator, but my voice just cracked, sorry. But like, I feel like I almost have to watch them again from blue to pink instead of pink to blue this time around. It's wild. Now, there was a very, very cute moment at the end of Blue where I feel like that's where you get like the very cute ending, and then Pink is where you get the sad ending, essentially. Kinda? Like, they're both sad endings though, because you see in the end of Blue, they don't recognize each other. They've met, it's very cute, but they don't recognize each other. So it's kind of like, it burns a hole in your heart. And Kazune, they have a moment at the end where he basically says that he's loved every version of her, and it's that sweet little heartfelt moment. But at the end of Pink, you see where, they have that moment where they never got together. And it's just kind of like, honestly, for me personally, I was rooting for Kazune. I liked her much more than Shiori. I liked her more. I liked her personality more. I thought she was a better character, honestly. But yeah, it's just a bummer to see in the Pink movie that they never got together. So it's just wild to think about with this whole parallel thing, that one choice can change the whole course of your life. Sorry, this review felt a little all over the place, but the whole movie was just madness to me, so this is the best way I could review it. There was going to be no hardcore official review for this movie from me. I am just so mind blown and mind melted tonight that it's just, this was the review. I'm sorry if it was a little chaotic and confusing on how I was saying things, but that was the madness that I understood. Anyways, though, thank you guys so much for watching. I am so confused. I need to sleep. And I need to contemplate this. I need to talk to my fiance when she wakes up, because she watched both these movies for me. She recommended it to me, and I wish she never did. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this review. Comment down below what you thought about both movies. What order did you watch them in? And were you just as confused as me? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. All right, guys, I'll see you guys in the next review.